record. That's a lot of notice, isn't it? I'm going to see if I can't place this
Loud.
poem. Wow, it's so loud. It looks like I got it in there. I put the poem that I'm going to read this morning in chat so you could access it also. And I'm going to begin there. And I'm going to be, doing this a little since I'm sitting in my mom's office here. I don't have my bell with me. I don't have my lap pillow. I don't have some of the things that I normally do. And there will be times in your practice when you don't either. When the conditions are not quite familiar, where what you were expecting doesn't happen, what you thought it would be, it was not. And for me, I think those are often some of the most amazing opportunities for our practice. Because in fact, everything is new, everything is changing. The truth of impermanence, as we know, is that which leads to wisdom, and the tenderness, the care, the kindness, the connection, and the touch that we can bring to that equals the heart, the openness of the heart, the kindness and the compassion. And we try to bring both to each. And that actually also means, and I'm noticing this more and more and more, is that it requires that we tolerate discomfort and distress and things we don't like, and letting go of the things we like. And as I get older, what I keep noticing is how wise the teachings actually are, and how absolutely true it turns out that they are. And so in this season, I'm going to call this next 2-week period for us inviting the holy into the holly, because two realities for me. One is that it's always there, that it doesn't require something special. It is often in the ordinary, the mundane, one might even say, and it often requires something of us to make true. The world, let's say, is already holy, and then our seeing it requires a certain kind of commitment, diligence, openness, receptivity. I'd like you to think in this practice today, what does that require of you specifically? What is your practice as we look at inviting the holy into the holly? Where do you catch the edge? Where do you notice these tendencies to contract, to demand, to blame, to get judgmental or critical of yourself or others? I caught a few of those just in the last day. And the good news is both in the recognizing and in the feeling, both for myself in my vulnerability, and then also in the other for their pain, their hurt, their confusion, their aggression, their, I said to my husband, that really feels sadistic, like you're inviting or wanting my hurting. And in those moments, it's so easy to forget, isn't it, the hurting of the other that is required. It's required in order to cause your hurt, or you perceive harm, which might be yours. And so we're going to look at that in the next 2 weeks all together. But I want you to hold these two ideas around this word holy. It could be, and the other thing I'd like you to think about is what other word might you use? Because holy can have a holier than thou, right? Quality. Ugh. Would be not the intent, or it can have a preciousness in it, right? A kind of special. Nope, that's not what I mean by that. What I mean by that is your own true nature being revealed, being opened to, being inviting. So, what other word might you use than holy? The other one I came up with was a word like divine. But I want you to think of all kinds of other words. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to push myself on this chair. Hold on. Back over here. So let's get ready to sit. I'm going to read this for you, and then we're going to see where you notice and experience and hold the holy in your life, in your day. Here it is. This is by E.E. Cummings. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue, true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I, who have died, am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings, and of the gay, great happening, illimitability, I think it says, earth, happening illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the no of all nothing, human merely being doubt, unimaginable you, human merely being doubt, unimaginable you. Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Yes, sacred, another word. We're going to sit with that. Can you feel that sense of sacred, holy, divine, healed, connected, present in that poem by E.E. Cummings, by the way? I thank you, God, for this precious day. And so we're going to prepare to sit. I'm going to tip this light. Hopefully it won't be too dark, but it was directly in my vision. Getting the feet on the floor in a way that feels comfortable for you. We begin with tenderness, with a gentleness, with an openness to begin to arc one's attention away from all the language, away from the words, away from the sounds, beginning to turn towards this presence, this being, this knowing that is right here. Just feeling the sense of the body sitting. And in the growing stillness, we just takes a moment. We can begin to feel this sense of aliveness, this sense of presence, living right here in this mind body. And with each breath, let's just see if we can enjoy that gift. We notice the anchoring of the out breath, the breath that draws us in and down, stable, connecting us with the earth. If you could cultivate a quality of mind for seeing clearly, let's just say this very body, seeing clearly this very body, and then this very breath as holy, sacred, precious, divine. What would that be? What would you invite into the lens? You would know, wouldn't you? You'd have to remember the impermanence of it all. This would be essential. Right here in this very breath. And so then our attention becomes a little bit more precise, a little bit more intentioned, because this breath, this very breath, will never happen again. This moment, this very moment, arises and passes in the blink of an eye. This very life. And then we take the in breath with that inspiration, and we remember once again the interconnection of all things, that this body, this breath, this Zoom meeting, this being here, this you and me, also ever changing, also precious, divine, sacred, holy. And we remember with that in breath not only the gift of the breath and we open completely, we also remember that we practice, don't we? Not only for ourselves, but for each other. This also contributes to that diligence, that commitment, that fierce intention, and to that tenderness. And we're going to cultivate these qualities for a few moments by just grounding here into the breath. And see if we can't cultivate those qualities of view, the truth of impermanence, the truth of interconnectedness, coming and going with each breath as our reminder. And we open and say yes. And even in these few breaths, don't you notice that tenderness rising as we rest in the truth that everything changes. You can feel that shaky tenderness and the truth of it. And then is it through, I'll just stay with the word for now, is it through holy eyes that we see the world? Or is the world holy and we finally see? And maybe both. Can you feel the breath? Or are you looking at it? See if you can get closer. Really drop right in. rest with the expanding and contracting? Can you find the stability? Remember, we talked about the unmoving, not the unfeeling. It's not the same. The unmoving quality of mind that can view all change, all movement, that can be blown by the worldly winds and still find in that stillness, find stability. Soften the body. There will be no bracing against this truth. It will not help you. And you may already be able to sense that as we become more stable, more um, unmoving, that everything becomes holier. The tick of the clock, the sound of the voice, one's own being. In the stillness, we begin to feel and remember the connection. We remember our own wish for happiness, for ease, for well being. And we remember others, all those others who hold the same wish. And this begins to tenderize and open the heart. regardless of opinions, regardless of faith, regardless of bias. We all wish to be happy. And see what that remembering, what that knowing, see what it might invite in you. Where do you feel it? How do you know it? How is it being breathed in you? I personally get a kind of vibrant, achy feeling in the area of the heart. And rather than pushing that away or distracting, can we simply let that tenderness have us? Can we soften up? And then I'd like you to recollect a moment where that softness lived out, where we took the risk to be that open, that loving, that present. Remember that it is alive in you, this holy, this sacred, this divine, this present, this open, and recollect it. It is often, for me, I notice, not in the grand moments, but in the simple ones. It wasn't in the buying of an e bike, it was in the forgiveness or the mercy or the compassion. and the softening, really, the release that invites that pained heart, because often we're turning towards something difficult, unpleasant, unwanted. But this is the benefit of our practice. It cultivates a certain steadiness, and that means a certain consistent openness. Often we're backed into a corner. It's often in confronting a certain unresolvability, like there's not too much other strategies to work here, no other place to go or run, not too much to do. And then there we are, laid bare and holy. And then I'd like you to think of a moment where uh, the habits won out, where a moment where uh, instead of that true desire, that true aspiration for boundless heart, you can feel the heart go cold or contract or shrink or get smaller or armor up or shut down. And I'm going to say that was that moment where I said the word sadistic. Whether it was true or not, probably not with open heartedness. And rather than judge the other for believed thought, rather than judge oneself, can we open here, feeling into the vulnerability or into the humanness or into the pain, into the fear, into the hurt, the woundedness, the ache of it all? And what does that feel like? It requires something of us. What is it? And then there really is nothing to think. The thinking falls away into that felt sense, that achy tenderness, into that grief or into that woundedness, whatever. And it's not because that's all we are. It's only because that's also here. And we're going to see if we can't rest the mind. Right in that shaky breath. And open a little bit more. And feel. And the very willingness to stay with is an essential skill. This just very breathing here with this. This is a beautiful part of the practice. And the feeling for oneself in it. And as we remember our own humanness, vulnerability, pain, anger, woundedness, it's all a part of the same fear. Can we feel for ourselves? And can we then remember this is that holy that gets bigger than uh, the small self? Can we remember not only our own pain, our own fear, our own vulnerability, can remember that whoever we perceive that other to be, that they are feeling this too, just like me. Right through that tenderness, right through that achiness, right through that shaky quality of heart, the heart grows bigger. And there is no story to tell. It is simply the human experience. There is no more he, she, they, us. There is just this essential truth. All of us. Tender like this. And then there's nothing I notice, required, except that we're now breathing beyond our own survival, beyond our own interests, beyond the I, me, mine. We simply breathe for everyone. This is the base of the Tonglen practice. Right out of the truth of vulnerability, pain of humanness comes this holy quality, whole, inclusive, bigger. And then we can feel that edgeless, boundless quality. Limitless. And we can attach phrases as we know to that. Can we breathe in the difficulty, picturing it, right, as dark, as cloudy, murky, muddy? And can we breathe out that transformed quality, the goodness? At least the honesty. And if that just feels unavailable, we simply breathe in for oneself. You get to stay right there. May I heal this suffering in me so that I can be whole and available. And then we can offer, as is loving kindness and compassion want to do. May I be happy. May you be happy. May we all be happy. May I be free from affliction. May you be free from affliction. May we all be free from affliction. May I rejoice and be glad at my blessings. May you rejoice and be glad at your blessings. May we all rejoice and be glad that all of these blessings and wish them for all beings. May I rest in equanimity. May I rest this weary, tender heart in the still and calm mind of equanimity. May you rest your weary heart in that calm, still mind of equanimity. May we all find our way home to the refuge of our own awakened heart minds. May we all rest our weary and tender hearts in that still, calm, boundless, sky-like quality of heart mind. And feel the felt sense of that. Still and And may our practice today contribute. And may it be so. I will not be ringing the bell this morning, but just feeling into the whole of the body for a moment. Feeling the places where it is open or contracted. Seeing if you can breathe right into the heart for a moment. Yes, Barb was just here checking in on me as good moms do, uh, wanting to see if I was free yet. So adorable. Oh. I was quiet, so she was sure something was wrong. Oh,
We love our moms.
you're still talking. No, I'm not talking. Ah, it's pretty cute. Pretty cute. I sort of waved her off with my other I'll go apologize to her in a minute. I don't think it probably ever is a good idea to wave off moms. Probably not really. Um, so here we are. Um, let's start with that first question. Other words for holy. Let's try to expand the concept a little bit, hopefully, through this practice, some invitation to that possibility. What other word might you use? You can write it in chat or anybody there? I hear somebody. Oh, wholeheartedly. Very much so, right? Healing. Yeah. Isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it true? Heart space. Yes, Shivam. Good to see you this morning. Sacredness. Yes. More than any word does, mystery for sure, right? That kind of open, unknowable, ineffable knowing, right? How do we stay and cultivate that capacity and quality? Because to rest in the mystery requires something, doesn't it? Otherwise, it simply becomes terrifying or overwhelming, or we just can't bear it because we know really on the one hand, right, the cognizing self knows so little, but that other quality, that boundless quality that knows everything it needs to know beyond words or beyond formula, beyond a concept. And how we invite that in these, in particular for me, not it's every day, right? And then particularly when we are celebrating that truth, as we are in this season, how do we watch so that we don't become trapped in greater greed or consuming or having it to get or be a certain way. And it's not just around products, right? We consume our preferences. We consume our biases. We consume our way of being. Like it should always be like this. And I use that example of saying to my husband, this feels sadistic, as a way, really, of not intentionally trying to name something, but not naming the pain from which it came first, is this kind of forgetting, right? It's a type of forgetting. you're pointing to the smoke, but not to the fire, not to its source, and consequently cannot act most skillfully if we don't get to the heart of it, to the root of it. We will always miss the target, as I like to say, by some millimeters or more, right? Shivam says, Cindy says pure. Yeah, it feels like that kind of pure light, warmth. Shivam, sacred heart space is holy. Yes, yes, holy. And then we see it everywhere. And so that begs the second question, which is it the eyes that are holy that sees the world, or is the world holy and the eyes finally see? And what's your take on that? Are the eyes holy and see the world, or is the world holy and the eyes finally see? And check in with your own experience and your own practice. The world is holy and the heart finally sees. I think we become present to our own holiness first in order to see the holiness in the world. There has to be some quality in us, isn't it? Cindy and Shivam are both pointing to that, right? In order to see the goodness, we'll just say, we'll use a different word for a moment. It does require, I think, something in us. It does require something in us. That's right, Jan. I suggested that, didn't I? Or is it both? Holy eyes seeing a holy world, completely now connected. Completely now connected. All of these statements being true then, right? Holy in one's being, holy in one seeing, holy in one that which one sees. And the other truth is this, I think it's been pointed to, which is if I forget that which is in me, that which I am capable of, that which is open, receptive, present in me, can anything else be holy? Well, it doesn't change the holy in the thing, but it does change that possibility, doesn't it, in the experience of it. When I am closed, I only see the sadistic. I don't see the tender or the pained. I was giving you a hint there. And when I am connected to that vulnerability, that tenderness in me, then I can open to that in the other, my own vulnerability. Sadistic, a habit reaction of throwing our pain, yes, when we don't feel holy, yes. All those versions of holy, right? When we are not whole ourselves, when we have not connected to our own distress, our own pain, and our own tenderness, and then we cannot see it, certainly in the other. And yes, let's stay with our example. It doesn't mean the other is not whole or holy. It means we have to first come to this. And this is what the Theravadan tradition says. If you do not have a stable mind, if you do not have an open heart, you will not be able to see clearly the truth of the impermanence and the interconnectedness of it all. And I happen to say that I notice it's true. It doesn't change the truth of the world, but it does limit our capacities, doesn't it? to connect with it, to see it, to recognize it, and then to act skillfully from it, the truth of it, as in that word, sadistic. Yeah. And it's a small moment with a big punch. And I think, I certainly want to give myself some kind of an out, but I don't really need to, because I recognize the truth of that habit, that contracted heart, and its labels, which is not really dropping into the embodied truth of it all, which is, yes, I hurt and you hurt, and hurt comes from it. That's true. I guess I could have said that. I guess I could have said that. I could say that now. And this is the continuing work, isn't it? The continuing practice is there. And so then wholly in it, even in that, isn't it? Then even in that, even in the recognition, wait a minute, that wasn't really the largest truth. It was so much bigger. The hurt in me and the hurt in you causing this hurt. Yeah. And then the capacity to hold it. And so I want us to look at that this week, because, again, whatever the tradition, whether you're in the majority culture or you're not, really, I don't actually think that always matters. Well, I don't mean that quite that way. I think there's a lot of aloneness, is what I mean. I think there's a lot of disconnect for people. I think there's a lot of, I'm not a part of that, that Facebooking storyline. Whatever your faith, tradition, ritual, belief happens to be, because the truth is nobody can live up to that. It's a Kodak, glossy on a, like if you've gotten it right, then it something else, and it doesn't shake out. And so then we all, I think if we buy into that, then we're guaranteed a certain kind of disappointment or expectation or frustration or despair, because our lives aren't quite stacking up. All right. To some image or some dream. And I think life's actually more interesting and truly more precious than all of that. And the whole idea, thank you, Leslie, is to share what we know in all the ways we know it, both in the ways we live it bigger, and in the ways also that we recognize the greater possibility and our truer hearts. Because if we can't, then we can't grow that. If you can't see, that and feel it really, for me, more, then I don't know where our practice is at all. I don't know. It's not one, it's too brittle and too dry and too false to really matter. So I'd like you to do this week. The informal practice then is, can we see through which eyes we're seeing? Can we pay attention for that? And if we're seeing the sadistic, I'll go back. If we're seeing the other, if we're seeing the, you know, demanding or uh, heartless, or can we see that which is actually being projected, and that which is within us? Can we come back home for a minute and touch into our own tender, queasy hearts, and stay there, attend there for a time, so that we don't project onto the world the habit mind that is seeing, because it grows too. We can grow that too, can't we, when we go, but you are sadistic, um, or whatever, right? That's just one small example. And again, uh, it isn't really, it's a limited view. What's more true is what always, for all of us, the pain, the disconnect, the aloneness, the not feeling the belonging, the not having the sense of community or presence or feeling held in us all, in us all. So I'd like us to watch and watch that tendency. I think that we all have to diminish our true boundlessness in labeling and in pointing and in shutting down in a certain way to get to it. It will not serve you, certainly, and so consequently cannot serve others either. So I'd like us to pay attention for that, especially as, like I said, I think things begin to intensify for expectations and beliefs, thoughts about shoulds and shouldn'ts, and in this week. I think Greg already made the announcement about St. Andrews. Can I check with somebody there? Has the delivery been made, or is it going
No,
to be?
it'll be
Not
made
yet.
tomorrow. You can still drop off today.
Okay, so we can drop off today.
Yep.
Yay, thank you. I have some more things. So please get your items over today. I think that's already been said. Just a reminder. Thank you, Greg, because I think Greg is going to be helping it get over there tomorrow. Thank you, Greg, also for that. And then we will be practicing on Thursday with Greg at 7. Please join. And then on Saturday, I will be doing another, either under the deck or in the garden, depending on the weather, outdoor. And it was actually quite amazingly lovely, even when it was a little cool. It was really delightful. I was both shocked and amazed at how wonderful it was outside. So for those of you who live near enough, and I'm sorry for those who don't, because I would love to have time together, please join us if you can. And I'll look forward to that. We will be continuing this theme for the next 2 weeks, which is inviting the holy in the holly. Because whatever the tradition, can we find the way to that most open, most tender, most loving, most present heart? The one that Shivam and Leslie and Jan and Cindy and Carrie are all, I think I have a few more people who had a thought about it. Thank you, Greg, and have been speaking to. And we're going to look some more. We're going to look a little more individually now at where is the holy in that which is larger, that spacious boundlessness, and where is that holy in the ordinary, in the everydayness, in the E.E. Cummings spoke a little bit to that in the poem as well. So I thought I put it on the chat. I don't see it now. I'm going to see if I can include it because I intended that. It's not quite working. I'll be sure to send that. It's actually quite one of my favorite poems, really. Yeah, we all need this, Shivam. I'm so glad you were here. I'm so glad that your situation allowed that. And I also am grateful for your participation as you volunteer. Those are important things. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you all again sometime soon. I'm going to go drink a little coffee with Mom and have a little breakfast. I happen to have a little time for that here in Hemet today. I think it's raining. Is it raining there in Encinitas yet?
It's trying. It's not yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay.
Very windy.
Okay, pretty windy. Okay, so,
It's coming.
pouring in LA. Okay, Jan, wow. It's also raining in Israel. Okay, well, there you go. There we go. See, we drown together. That's just the truth of it. Marilyn, good to see you. I didn't see you on here. Yes, enjoy being with Mom. Yeah, am I not blessed? Yes, yes, I am. Blessed and blessed and blessed to have this mom. In fact, I'll tell you a quick little story as we're getting ready to leave. My mom said to me yesterday, you know, I heard you say the word fuck the other day, and I just want you to think about that. I said,
That gave me a good laugh.
I said, I did say it, Mom, and I'm probably going to say it again. But I do want you to know it wasn't because I wanted to hurt you. So I'm going to pay attention to that and, you know, be a little mindful, a little heedful around that so that I don't just throw it out there and hurt your ears. And so it was actually quite delightful. And yes, it is a blessing, 100%. And so, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be super successful at that, but I guess it's in the attempt. It is in the intention. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking, by the way, a little bit more about intention versus aspiration, because there's some distinctions in those, and I certainly have the intention not to cause harm. Certainly that's also an aspiration, and I can be more watchful. I think that's reasonable, and probably won't bat 1,000 on that, and it'll be okay. It will be okay too. So I'll leave you with that, Jolly, and look forward to seeing you guys soon on Saturday at 7:30. I'm looking forward to that. May we all be safe from those storms. May all those others also be safe from those storms. There's been some super damage, and I'm feeling for all those who have been harmed and placed in danger. And in all of this, there's been quite a lot of talk about worldly winds blowing. So may we all hold those others also in our hearts as we enjoy also the beauty of this, our nature and nature itself. So enjoy, everyone. Good to see you all. I'm going to be signing out now from Hemet, California. Have a good day, everyone. I'll look forward to seeing you hopefully on Saturday. Seth, I think I just missed him. Good to see you all. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Travel safe.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Diana. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Marilyn. Good to hear you.